Hey YouTube, I'm Rachel, and today I am doing assignment number 3 for the virtual homeschool co-op that is put together by Just So Trish. I'll put a link below so you can check out everybody else's videos about this topic. And this week, I'm going to be looking down at my phone. This week the topic is about book lists. And the first question is, how and where do you get your book list? Now for us, our entire curriculum is based off of a book list. So for my daughter, we're using Ambleside Online, and we're doing year 1 with that. And it's a great book list. I'm struggling with some of the things, and like Our Island Story, for example. Is it a great book? Yes, I'm sure that it is, because I know a lot of people, there's a lot of thinking that goes on behind the doors to put together that whole entire curriculum, and a lot of people work together to pick out the different books. My struggle is with the idea of reading it to my 6-year-old. I'm just not sure how much she's actually gleaning from it. The same goes for Shakespeare. We just started reading, I believe the author is Lamb, I believe. And I don't know how much she says she doesn't really enjoy it, so I'm not quite sure. But then there's some things that she's really getting into and really enjoying. And that may just end up showing her interest in where her heart lies and what things she's interested in. So for my daughter, my 6-year-old, we're using Ambleside Online, so it's our entire curriculum is a book list. The extra reading books, or extra books to read that go along with that, because they actually have outlined additional reading, are things like Charlotte's Web and Little House on the Prairie series, the Velveteen Rabbit, and then there's a few other ones and I can't remember them all right off. But some of them that we have, we're totally going to read them at some point. I'm not 100% sure when that'll take place, maybe over this coming summer while we're taking time off, just enjoy reading those, or at bedtime. For my son, we're using the Ambleside Online reading list for year 0, they call it. So that's like preschool, kindergarten, and in my opinion, it can even go younger than that. That is something that I do love about Ambleside. I do love that book list that they put together for the year 0. So all of those great children's books that nobody should miss ever, they're all on there. Until finding Ambleside, I did not read the original Winnie the Pooh books or stories. And wow, was I missing out. So definitely, if you have not read the original Winnie the Pooh stories, go check that book out from your library, buy it, whatever. Get your hands on that book and read it for yourself. That is amazing. Absolutely amazing. I actually cried at the end. And I am not a crier. I am not a overly sensitive person, at least most of the time. And I cried at the end of that. I also cried at the end of Charlotte's Web because it's amazing. So anyway, so there's that. So that's where our book lists come from. Now, as far as assigning reading, my children are very young. Annika is 6, James is 4, and then of course my 1-year-old isn't reading anything at all, so he has to just always be read to. But as for my daughter, I am not making her read a set book list. She has constant access to books. She has constant access to all of those classic stories, and then she has constant access to twaddle. She loves Pony Pals, and she loves reading Pony Pals, so she'll start reading through those on her own. Keeker, that's another good if you have kids who like horses. The Keeker series is really cutesy, and it was really enjoyable for my daughter. My husband actually read through all of these books with her, and then she goes back through and she'll read them on her own. She also enjoys Fancy Nancy and the grown-up Fancy Nancy. It's Nancy Clancy, I think, Super Sleuth or something. So she enjoys reading that on her own, and she reads the Bible quite frequently on her own. The actual Bible, not a children's Bible. She'll just open it up, find what she wants to be reading, and read it. So anyways, neither here nor there. We do not do assigned readings, and I do not expect them to read a certain amount or anything. Now that will change. As they get older, I am sure that will completely change, because I would say whenever Annika is like 3rd grade-ish, and all of my children, when they hit about 3rd grade, they will start to take over some of their assigned reading for the curriculum, and they'll start to read those things on their own, and I'm hoping to get them to also read the additional books on their own for fun. As far as rewards and incentives to read, I don't do that. If it comes down to it, if I end up, one of my kids don't enjoy reading, I may have to offer incentives, and at that point I will. But to me, and to my children at this point in time, reading is a fun thing. Reading is a great, wonderful thing to do. So as of right now, I don't have to do that, so I'm not planning on doing that. And as far as quizzing for comprehension, the way this works for us, I do not give a paper and pencil quiz. We follow Charlotte Mason, we follow Ambleside Online for our book list. So what we do is narration. So after we read part of a book or a chapter or whatever, I have Annika narrate back to me the story. And she hates it. She does hate narration. I could see me giving incentives for narration, because she hates narration. She gets what we're reading and she can internalize it, and she's getting it. And I know that because she just, I don't know. You're the parent, you kind of know what your kid's getting and what they're not getting, but she hates narration. So I need to find a way to incentivize that, or find a way to make it more fun. I love the idea of narration, and I do believe if you understand something, you're going to be able to talk about it and tell about it. So by having children narrate back to you after they're done reading whatever, then you're going to know that they understand, and you're going to know that they got it. So that we don't do quizzes. The last thing, what is your goal for the reading list, and what is your why? So I guess my why right now is to increase vocabulary, to increase knowledge, and just to build memories. I really think that reading books really helps to build memories. There's a book, The Monster at the End of the Book, and it's a Sesame Street book, and Grover's in it, and he's completely freaking out and losing it because there's a monster at the end of the book, and he's begging the reader not to turn the next page, because at each page flipping, you're getting closer to the end of the book, and there's a monster at the end of the book, and he's so afraid. That was a book that my mom remembered her father reading to her and her brothers whenever she was little. She read it to me, and I have, of course, read it to my children, and I'm pretty sure we have the same book that's been passed along. We bought a board book as well, just to have a sturdier copy. But now that's twaddle. Charlotte Mason would definitely call that twaddle, but I call it memories, because I mean, it was passed down like that through our family. It is something that I remember vividly from whenever I was a child. My mother